Thanks for joining me here on the Ozzstar's Cars channel. Today's fun project, we've got a push mower to work on. I know, don't get too upset, there's no car today, but this is kind of interesting what happens here with these push mowers. Sometimes you go to start them and you pull on that cord and the thing just pulls back or snaps back super hard, super fast. And I've got this 22-inch Poland push mower that was handed down to me here and to diagnose, and I want to take you along with me and show you and tell you what's going on. So let's take a look. Alright, so we got this Poland 22-inch, like I said. It could be a Craftsman, it could be, here's a Toro over here. Any brand of these mowers that you pull start, here's the cord right here. And what I'll tell you is you grab this thing and you pull back and go to start, and you get about like right here, and this thing just rips out of your hand. I mean hard. Sometimes it'll wrap around this thing. It can be pretty ugly because it's so violent that it'll actually snap your hand. Anyway, what I want to tell you is, regardless of what push mower you have, most times what has happened here is there's like a woodruff key, there's a crankshaft comes up this way, and then you have your flywheel, and there's a key there. And if you don't know what a woodruff key, it's like a little, it's made to shear if the blade hits something hard, like a rock or a wood stump, like a tree stump, and goes to stop. That key is supposed to shear before it causes major engine damage. So what'll happen is that thing shears, and now because the flywheel has shifted on the crankshaft, it's out of time. So your timing has to do with the combustion, right? So the spark, the fuel, the air, and basically when it's out of time, it's gonna give you problems. So I already took the blade off of this thing, and I have evidence that that's what's happened because this blade is completely out of balance. Notice on the end here how that's pretty square, and over here it's kind of like, I don't know if it's showing up on camera, but at the top edge, let me show you right here, I'll rest it. This is like all rounded off. I don't know if it hit something, but this thing is out of balance. And the kicker was the engine mounts down here. Let me see if I can get a good shot for you. I think this is bolted in 3 places down where it meets the deck. Well, it's actually cracked. So this thing hit so hard and was out of balance with that blade that it bent the metal of the deck. So I'm going to try to salvage the engine, but the deck is shot. And what I want to do is take this apart right now. Let's see if that key is sheared, and if it is, that's definitely the issue. I don't have a spare key, I don't think, but regardless, let's take it apart and see what's going on. So the mower still has gas in it. I'm not going to drain that right now. We could just swing the tank out of the way. Now it depends on your model. I guess I should put a battery in my impact before I try to use it. It's going to work a little better. There we go. So this is just a 3/8 impact. If you don't have that, have one, just use a screwdriver. There's 2 screws here on top. Get this cover out of the way. Just slide that over here. And now this is the housing that holds this gas tank is around here. There's 3, I think there's 3, yeah, 3 10 or 8 millimeter bolts. Let's bust those out. I got this little adapter here. What brand is this? This thing's great. I have a 3/8 drive impact. You know, it's 3/8 for a socket. This PT is nice because you can put your bits in here. I should do a separate review on that, but you just pull this out like that and you take your Phillips bit. Let me show you up close. So you got your Phillips bit here with a hex, and then this just pops right in, so it converts. And this part here is 3/8. Goes right under your driver. Very nice, quick and easy. Anyway, let's get this gas tank off. That's an 8 millimeter. Oop, we'll get that screw in a minute. And there's one, you can't see it, but down here on my side, on this particular model, there's a 10 millimeter bolt. Let's zip that one out, and then we should be loose. This doesn't take more than a few minutes. So this should come loose now. All right. And then I'll just swing this over here out of the way. Hopefully you guys can see. Yeah, I think we're pretty good with the camera. I'm leaving the fuel line hooked up. Now this cover here has our coil in it for the pull start. And let's disconnect the spark plug wire. That's very important. So we should do that first actually. So make sure you do that. We'll take the, here's the oil fill dipstick. That's an 8mm. Let's get that out. There's a little screw up here. We'll pull the dipstick, tube, the whole tube. Let's get this up out of the way. Sit that over there. And now there's 2 bolts up front. Those are 10. Let me switch back. Switch from my 10 and my 8 to my 10. There's 2 up here on this cover. And right underneath this, we'll find the flywheel. Then there's 2 bolts back here, 2 10s. Okay, so we got those 4 out. Now this cover should be loose now. So that just comes out of here. Okay, now here's the good stuff. This is the flywheel. Let me zoom in more for you. Get in tighter. That's better. So here's our flywheel. All right, 15/16. Let's zip this one out. There's our bolt that fell out. I found it. Nice. Put that over there. Let's get this one out. And I'm just going to hold this flywheel. There you go. Impacts make this job really nice. Get that nut off, and then this piece comes off. And I think there's a washer down in here, right? No, no washer. Just the nut in this piece. Now here's our flywheel. And get our light and see. This is where you want to look. And let me take you in here. Yep. So it's definitely no good. So let me get my light set up. Let me zoom you guys. Oops, sorry about the shakiness. But right here, this is, let me point with here's where the woodruff key should be, or half of it still is. This is our slot. So this slot on the crankshaft, this is the crankshaft, this is the flywheel, the aluminum piece, should be in line with this slot, and then we would have good timing. So because when I say timing, this spins, there's a reluctor here, I guess magneto, reluctor, this is magnets, here's your coil, and every time this spins, there's like a gaps. Right, where's the gap? Right here, I guess it reads back here, so it knows where top dead center is. Anyhow, whatever way, they all pretty much work the same, just designed a little bit differently. As this spins, the coil knows when to send the juice, so to speak, to the spark plug. So this is our spark plug wire here, right, which goes up to the coil, which goes to the flywheel. And anyhow, we need to get this off so we can get this in proper position. Now, the best thing to do is get like a pry bar and put some pressure up underneath here. Well, why talk about it? Let me just get the tools. So depending on how corroded this is how easy it'll come off or not so easy. I'm gonna put safety glasses on right now, because what I'm gonna do here, let me get my pry bar at a good spot somewhere along here. I'll put some pressure on it. It's not going to pop off on its own. You could try, but I doubt it. I got to put this in a spot where it's not going to bend anything. Right here is good for me. I'm coming in at this side here. I'm pulling up on the pry bar. You can't see my hand is back here on the handle. Okay, so I'm going to do that. And what you can do is take a hammer. People go nuts on this, but you can give this some good whacks, or you can do what we do. I'm going to take little Wimpy's. Little Wimpy's my air gun. And I'm going to give this, basically what you want to do is vibrate the center of the crankshaft while you're pulling up. Now I'm going to spray a little oil on there because that never hurts. Just to see if it'll break that bond a little easier. Give it a couple of these, some vibration, and let's see if she pops off. There it comes, that quick. That's it, I don't even need any more air. All right, pull this up, and don't worry about the where it goes back, because you know your woodruff key's got to line up right here. Yeah, that sucker's sheared. Let me show you now what we got. So here's our flywheel, and here's our crankshaft, the end of it. And as you can see, that is not looking pretty. So it completely sheared. I'm going to pull it out right here and show you guys. This should not look like this. It should just be one piece. Anyhow, that's what happened. And judging by the way the deck is cracked, I can't get, well, maybe I can get a good shot on it for you here. Let me show you. Well, you can't really see it. It's right down. Oops, hold on. Oh boy, now I got a gas leak. Hold up. Let me put the camera down. All right, got that leak situated. The old screwdriver stopper, as you can see right there. Anyhow, can you see where this is lifted right here and it's cracked? That's the actual metal deck. Here's the bolt that comes through. And there's 3 areas, I believe, the 3 engine mounts, and they're all cracked. So this thing was hit something hard, and then it was out of vibration. It wasn't running right. That blade is out of balance. So what I'll need to do is get a new woodruff key. I'll put this all back together, and then I'll fire it up. Let me show you this. So if you go to pop the flywheel off and the brakes on, this might hold you up, or you go to put it back on. I just set that back on there. Here's the lever you usually use this, you know, when you're running the mower. So if you shut it off, you let go. Well, here's the brake here. Here's what's happening. So right now the lever's squeezed. I got it down like it was, you were mowing. You were letting the engine run, I should say. And then as soon as I release it, you see how the brake hits this part of the flywheel, okay? And that's that. I'm going to show you guys real quick what I was talking about here with the coil, the electromagnetic induction. So this part of the coil, you can kind of see these stripes here. It almost looks like stripes. There's a magnetic, there's magnets in here. See how my socket sticks to it? Anyhow, it comes by this coil here, and that's how the coil knows when to fire and when not to fire the cylinder. So if your flywheel, like this one here, now I've got it, you know, that would be in time. I don't have my new key yet, but if this is like this or this way, it would be most likely it's shifted that way. Even if this is just a little bit off, that means your timing's off, and you know, that's where we were. That's pretty bad. So obviously the engine's not going to run very well with the timing being that bad. So I hope that explains that. Okay, so I robbed Peter to pay Paul. So I had this Toro, which came from the same place that Poulin came from. And before I even got started, I noticed some loose bolts on top, and I took the cover off the coil right there, not the coil, but the pull cord cover off. And of course, here's the flywheel that was there. Now this was bolted down, and if you look real close, what I saw was it was pretty obvious because the flywheel key was still in. There's a split. I'm going to zoom in real tight. There's a crack, and it was pretty big when it was wedged in there, that runs all the way down this flywheel. You can see it really good right there, and it goes all the way out to the end. So that's dangerous. I don't know what caused this one. The blade that I took off actually looked pretty decent on this model, but I don't know if it hit something or somebody tried to take it apart and they cracked this. Now you can buy flywheel separate, but anyway, I popped this off. Same trick. I took off the nut, hit it with the air gun, popped right off with the pry bar on it, and took this key right here, and I'm going to put it into Poulin. So let's get to that next. So this is off a Toro, this flywheel key, and it's made of steel, but it's a soft steel. Now the Briggs & Stratton, these Poulins, Craftsman, they're using Briggs & Stratton engines. You usually use an aluminum key, but what I want to do is here, I have this one, that the aluminum's on order. I have this steel one, so I'm going to put this in, and then we can test it anyway, and I can always swap it out real fast. But let me squeeze the safety guard, you know, the shut off, so that brake is off back there, and line up this slot with the crank slot right here, as you can see. Hopefully you can see it. Let's zoom in a little tighter. There we go. And what I'll do is, it's that easy. You'll have your aluminum guy and put that right here. Get that started. And what I do is I just take a little punch. If you don't have a punch, you can use a screwdriver and just drive that down in there. Let me take a, what do I have here? The closest tool is what I'm going to use. I'm going to use this wrench. I just hit it with my pry bar, and I'm just tapping it down in there. There it goes. All right, just drive it all the way down. That's it. So it's pretty much flush with the top right here. Hopefully you saw that. It's flush now, and we're good. All I gotta do is take this doohickey for our, let me widen this up, for the, that's where your coil, your rope catches in here and spins out, expands out and grabs this and then spins your flywheel to get it started. That's on there good. Get our nut, our 15/16. I think that's like 28 point something metric. So that's it. We'll snug that up. I'll put everything back together. It's gonna take a couple minutes. It's tight. That ain't going anywhere. I don't know what the exact torque specs are, but tight is good. And now this thing should spin freely. Make sure it's not rubbing on your coil here. You should still have the same gap. And that's it. Let me put it back together. We'll see if it'll fire up. Now, I'm pretty confident this thing's gonna start. How good it's gonna run, I don't know, because like I said, I just sprayed some ether in there and it ran for a few seconds, but really bad because you saw the timing was off. Let me hit the primer bulb here a few times and I'll pull this cord now. I don't know if you'll be able to see me, but hopefully there won't be. I gotta pull the bar back. Hopefully there won't be any resistance here. So if you see my hand snapping, it's not good. Let's fire it up for a few seconds and then we'll finish up the video. Let me hit the primer a couple more times. Oh, something happened. There we go. Come on, baby. That carburetor looked pretty crusty when I took it apart. All right, it took a few pulls, but it fired up. Let's see if it'll start again, just for the heck of it. I don't know if there's, let me see the gas here. I put a little bit of gas in it. I put fresh gas. The first thing I did check was to see if the gasoline had any water in it, and it did not. All right, so the good news is it fired up. The carburetor on these are not really adjustable. I don't know if you can drill the plugs out on those. They're capped off for the pilot adjustment. I'm going to check. I'll look online, but it needs a little bit of tuning. It should fire up a little easier than it did, but at least it runs now. It wouldn't run at all. And when I wish I had it on camera, it probably looked pretty comical when I went to pull that cord and it just like sucked me in. So fortunately I didn't get chopped up and live to make another YouTube video another day. So anyway, thanks for stopping by. I hope the video was helpful to you. Leave your questions and comments down below. Check me out on Instagram. It's Ozzstar with the #1. Facebook is Ozzstar. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, and I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy.